Okay, hello Hillary.
Hi, Christopher.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
It's a wonderful Wednesday.
Yeah, what a great alliteration you've come up with.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you learn that in doctor school?
Totally, yes.
Good,
We had a whole class on how to rhyme, like adverbs and, days of the week.
Amazing.
It was really important.
Glad it's helping you in your current career.
Yeah, totally.
What do we got going on today?
We have a very, very exciting guest today.
Okay.
She is a content creator, a certified somm. She's also a fellow podcast host.
Very
and
nice.
most importantly, we just learned she's a big fan of Costco.
Wow.
Do you want to tell who we have
Well, I
today?
think this is like the most renaissance woman of wine that I know. Podcast. She also was a somm at Press, which is like our local, wine restaurant.
Yes.
hero. Welcome Amanda McCrossin.
Hi!
Woo!
I feel like mom and dad are fighting again.
It's amazing.
Like, who can give you more positive compliments?
Yeah, they were going at each other, then they're like, this is our daughter Dottie.
Welcome Amanda. Oh man, so what do you think you're getting involved in tonight?
Well, there's cheese involved, and there's wine involved, and there's some printed out copies of paper, which I haven't seen since 1992, so that's exciting. I feel like we're about to have the night of our lives, and I would like to bring it back to the 90s, personally.
I love it. Well, right on. Well, we're very analog here. As it's been described before, this is a low-budget podcast with high authenticity.
And high quality goods on the table. I think there's more like money in wine and cheese here than anything else.
Most likely.
Yeah.
That's typical of
A 911 episode.
911, yeah, absolutely. We have good people and fun things to drink. So,
Yeah.
I'm really excited about our lineup tonight of wine. Do you want to take us through what you brought?
Sure. Well, okay, so I was, as per usual, indecisive about what I wanted to bring to the table, literally. But, I wanted to bring two things that I felt like I'm excited about. And, everybody asks me, like, what are you excited about right now? And I have a tough time answering the question. But the last few months, I've gotten pretty excited about two things. One is an actual wine, and the other is a rice wine. So I brought Ravenswood Zinfandel. It's about to make a big comeback, and this is coming from Monte Rosa Vineyard, so a classic, historic, iconic vineyard of California. And the other is called Iwa Sake, and this is a sake from the former Chef de Cave of Dom Perignon, a fledgling champagne house. He left, and he started, at the age of 65. He was like, well, been there, done that, let's start sake. And he started this whole new project, and it's incredible, and I find it to be fascinating, and I had a great dinner with him the other night, and it just kind of reawakened my excitement for sake. So
Very cool.
that's the last time I say sake on this podcast.
Right on.
Okay, and Chris, you brought some.
I brought
to share, too.
an old Whitehall Lane from 1990, shameless self-promotion from Morris-Sully Vineyard. And I also brought our new Zinfandel from our 115-year-old Zinfandel wine. So hopefully we can have a little Zinfandel discussion.
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And I also just learned that Amanda and I are talking for 6 minutes.
Yes. Not a moment longer.
6 exactly, for Premiere Napa Valley up
right.
on the stage, the live before the live.
And will
Correct.
they cut your mic, or does the music start playing like the Grammys?
They're going to play music for me at like 3 minutes. Like, get this guy.
Actually, I have a really fun announcement to make this podcast.
Sure.
We're going to give you a cane, and you get to yank him off stage.
Oh, you know what? I was like the shepherd girl once for Halloween, so
Nice.
I have a big, large one I can contribute.
Okay, Bo Peep.
Tonight,
Hillary, what are we doing for a podcast?
yeah, so we're doing logs. I brought us back into this year because we're getting a little behind. So we're doing January 2025.
Cool.
I also have January 2015 in honor of the year that you started at Press.
Oh my gosh. How thoughtful. Thank you.
Yeah,
So we have some fun. We have very dog-filled, I feel like, log
Yeah, we
this
do.
time. Which, I'm always a fan of.
There's a cute picture of a dog on here. There's a really fun one that starts out with a dog. But should we just start with one?
Yeah.
Let's pick one.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. So
Okay.
descriptors. Thursday, January the 9th at 7:47 in the evening. A big brown dog named Trouble was reported missing from McCorkle Avenue. I love the detail.
Oh, we got trouble.
Old Trouble.
Right near River City.
Old Trouble.
I was a musical theater major, by the way, if that makes its way into the podcast, as it just did. Now you know why.
I have one that's kind of a sign of 2015 and not 2025.
Okay.
Childs Avenue house was egged within the last 30 minutes. It might have involved the neighborhood kids who would doorbell ditching, shining lights into people's windows.
Man, too expensive today.
I was just going to say, how dare they waste precious eggs?
I am enjoying those Instagrams. Like, back in our day, we had so much toilet paper and eggs.
Exactly.
We just threw in people's houses.
Exactly.
Times are tough.
Oh my god. No kidding.
Do you have any good ones in your pile?
So, okay, I have ones from, I don't know if these are more recent.
These are 2025.
Are these the ones, like these ones here?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. These are also very amusing, like, in general. Okay, so I saw that 2 necklaces were reported missing, and they were last seen on either Pine, Madrona, Sylvaner, Hudson, or Spring, which tells me
They were
this person was on the walk of their lives. I'm not sure what they were doing on the walk. I don't know what kind of funny business was happening on all those streets, but my eyes are peeled.
If you find the jewelry.
I also want to know how they specifically know that's where the necklace went missing.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have that running app.
Let's pull some ring data. I want to see the video of this. Hopefully
Elon
there's
Musk definitely knows.
Oh, yes.
For sure.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about 2015. So, well, first of all, what did you do before press? Because that's where I learned about you initially, because you were like one of the first wine people I followed when I had my new Instagram in like 2015.
Yeah.
It was like Sans Vivant.
What happened to the old Instagram?
I don't think there was Facebook, Hillary.
Well, I also had
That's what
Facebook.
your parents are on.
Oh, MySpace.
MySpace. But that's my first. So, but what did you do before I
Before we
learned
connected?
about you? Yeah.
I was in New York still in January of 2015. I was working at a restaurant there. I was a somm. I knew that I wanted to move to a different wine program. I had no idea that I was in January of 2015, not even an inkling that I was going to move to California. When I did in July of 2015, it was just like a weird happenstance where I started looking for new jobs and got connected with Scott and Kelly out here in June. And then they were like, you should maybe come and work here. And I literally took myself from New York to California in the span of 3 weeks. I came here, I staged, I came back, I quit my job that night, and then 3 weeks later, that did include a trip to Bordeaux. I was living in Napa Valley.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was my 2015. How was yours?
That's amazing. I was in Honduras in 2015. Yeah.
2015, I was in Boise, Idaho.
Very nice. Cool. So what was the transition from to press like? I mean, you were already a somm, so you're kind of already established in your field. But did you take over the number one somm? What do you call that? Head somm?
No, not at all. At the time I was still kind of in. Well, I mean, I guess you're always kind of in learning phase, right? But no, I was still kind of a baby somm at that point. I had run a program in New York. It was a small program, but I specifically came to press because I wanted to work underneath a great wine people who could teach me, and obviously in the community. So no, I mean, I was just a sommelier on the floor, but it was terrifying because in New York, as a wine person, nobody talks about California wine. They all talk about
all Bordeaux or all
exactly. It's all European wine. So everything that I knew about Napa Valley was, it's big, it's high alcohol, it's high octane, and people were like, oh, you're going to only drink Napa Valley wine. I'm like, well, they seem to be like doing okay for themselves. Like the James Beard Award nominated. They've gotten some pretty like notable things. So I thought it was a great opportunity. But when I got here, I was humbled a few times by now friends when I realized that I couldn't make up stuff on the floor like I used to in New York because they made the wine. So
Oh man. That's
they'd ask questions and then I would respond like very boldly and then they'd be like, actually.
That's a little entrapment though also. Just a
It
little bit of
is,
entrapment.
but also fair.
But fun.
Fair.
Fun for everybody except for
What
you.
else are you going to do in a small town,
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
It was me. It was like it was my favorite part of my wine career was those first few years
A
of.
great way to learn, like really get into that.
It was and it was these wines we had went back to the 1950s and 60s, and we had so many of them because it was before anyone cared about California wine in that way, like old California wine. So it was really fun to get to know these wines very intimately and with the people who were involved with them and with people who were excited about them. And then you'd have like Robert Parker come in and all these famous people that you'd see in Wine Spectator just like coming in for a burger at the bar. And that was very cool. So it was really a very exciting time in my life. But it was also the time when I started my YouTube, my Instagram channel, because I couldn't help myself. This has to be shared with the world. Like, how can you not talk about this?
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. And what a great program. I mean, like, Press they kind of had that niche of, like, that was only Napa wine and old, and then you guys would buy old cellars, and that was kind of how you would... Yeah, I learned everything I needed to know about old wine working there. Mm-hmm. So everything from, like, inspecting, like, going to the auctions and inspecting the wines there, learning how to buy secondhand, learning how to open them, how to serve them, how they change once they're open. Like, I really learned about old wine. Very cool.
I don't take that for granted because that's, mostly just rich people that get to do that.
Yeah. Lucky to do it.
Well, in Press too, I feel like 2015, not to hate on current Press, but it was just a different era.
It totally was.
It just was. It was fine dining, and it had the reputation of fine dining. But it was a place like you could go sit at the bar and get a chocolate souffle and hang out. At the end of the day. Yeah,
we used to joke that it was the place that you went between Meadowood, Macy Rest, and French Laundry. Mm-hmm. Like, still elevated, but you could kind of relax a little bit. Like, it was an open space where people felt very comfortable getting up from their table and going to say hi to other people. And it kind of became this water cooler for the valley. But it is in a different era, and I wish them well, and I think they're doing well now that they have a Michelin star. So
yeah, it's great. Yeah. And you worked with Kelly White there when you first got there.
Yeah, so, Kelly and Scott were running the program. Cool. Kelly had just released her book, and
okay, work out with that book, man. It's the way to go.
I know. But it is a goodie.
Epic.
I think, do we need to dive into a little bit about your media presence?
What media presence?
I mean, you just have a few followers here and there on a few platforms. I was doing the math, this week in my head, and I think you're over 500,000 followers on all platforms, which is pretty incredible. So you mentioned that you kind of started that with Press, and then was there a moment where it just kind of exploded, or has it just been this slow trickle?
Yeah,
over the past 10 years.
There were moments when it exploded. I was in the nascent stages of Instagram. Like, back in 2015, not a lot of people had an Instagram account.
I was using some heavy filters.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And there was
borders.
And borders. Cannot forget the border. There was no Instagram stories. There was no video on there. And so everything that I was doing on Instagram was not only wine related, but it was also, it was photo. So it was very different than what it looks like now. But there weren't a lot of wine people on there. And so I thought it would be cool to tell the stories of some of the bottles that we were opening. So I got very used to long captions in my posts. So I grew very quickly then. And then it would kind of wax and wane. And then I think, honestly, really where it took off was post-COVID. And it actually blew up on TikTok before it blew up on Instagram. So TikTok was the place where I hit 100,000 before I did on Instagram. And then, every now and then videos kind of go viral and they have moments, and it's just kind of funny. But, it's always exciting to see the numbers climb. But at the same time, I'm always it makes me very nervous for some reason as well.
Well, you're so authentic and accurate. And what I really appreciate about all your posts is you get into the details, and you're there's a little bit of wine nerdiness that goes with it, which is really fun. But you break it down so that everyone can understand it. So whether you're a super wine expert, a newcomer, you can completely understand what you're saying. And it's really valuable. So
I appreciate
there's
that.
not a lot of folks that bridge that gap well. So
I think it's the Philly in me.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
On the Super Bowl.
Thank you, Go Birds.
I was looking vicariously through your posts. Yes.
It was emotional. It was a lot. We drank a lot of wine.
And you paired, so this was fun. You paired wines with quarterbacks
just sports. One quarterback. just one.
Let's hear about it.
The Chiefs were not involved. Sorry, Kansas City. Not sorry.
Sorry, moms.
So speaking of old wine, I thought it would be cool to, in preparation for the week leading up to the Super Bowl, I opened wines from the birth years of some of the big players, and then Coach Sirianni. So I opened 97 Turley Dogtown Zinfandel.
Nice.
Which is awesome. So that was for Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. Wait, am I getting it right? No, that was for Dogtown was for Saquon Barkley. And then 98 Smith Oat Lafitte was for Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. And then the final one was the 1980 Caparzo Brunello di Montalcino for my guy, Nick Sirianni.
Coach.
Awesome. So we cracked that on the actual Super Bowl day, had that with the fam.
I think that pushed him over the top. I think that made it.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I don't think it was a tush push at all. 0% chance.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk a little bit about old wine. So, what were some of your like favorites? Some things that maybe, I don't know, maybe you had an experience with old wine. You're like, wow, this is really unique. Like, where was that?
Well, the very first one I remember was when as a somm, especially in that environment, you kind of creep up to a certain level, right? And there was one night where Todd Newman, who was with Dakota Shia for a while, he came in and he wanted something cool and old, and he was like, "You decide." I was like, "Dude, I don't think I don't think I have the credentials for this quite yet. I'm still learning here." And he's like, "No." He's like, "I want you to decide." So we picked the 1978 Joseph Phelps Isley Vineyard.
Cool.
Or I should say, I picked. And it rocked my world. That was the bottle that really changed things for me in terms of the ageability of California Cabernet, and then also what specific sites can add to a wine. That was magical. Like, I think I can still taste that wine mentally, which I can't say about a lot of wines. And Todd loved the wine as well, so that was like a moment that sort of solidified things for me, both professionally and personally.
Yep.
I remember sitting at the bar like the very first time that I staged at Press with Kelly, and she opened 1987 Joseph Swan Zinfandel. So that was really, that was one of my epiphany bottles.
Those old
as well.
Joe Swans are beautiful.
Yeah.
So cool. And that tiny little winery that they made, and it's always been that same way. I love that.
Yeah. And there is like a tie-in with the Ravens. I think Joel was working at Joseph Swan at some point, and then I forget exactly how it all went down, but there's a loop into the Ravenswood. But yeah, Zinfandel. I mean, if we want to talk about that, Zinfandel.
We should dive into.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I'm curious. I think for me, if somebody had asked me 2 years ago, like, what's your least favorite grape, I'm not. I know for certain I would have said Zinfandel, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there was just so much bad Zin out there that I just got like haterade about it. How did you do? You like Zinfandel? Do you drink it?
I've always loved Zin.
I do. I remember that being like. I guess I shouldn't say their name because they were making it under the radar, but they were making it under the radar. And
names.
And my mom would send it to me in college, like an unmarked bottle. And
wait, your mom sent you wine in college?
It had to be Tom Rinaldi.
It wasn't.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't. Okay. And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of was what started it.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, he would just write the year in Sharpie. And then my mom would mail it to me with pomegranates, as, mothers from Napa Valley do.
Perfect.
That is the most Napa Valley thing I've ever heard. So you both grew up here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is so crazy. We had very different childhoods. I'm positive. Yeah.
But no, I always just grew up around Zin and, always respected it, liked it. But I never knew the other side, But there's so many, Central Valley and all this. It became a very, just mass-produced, overdone, overripe bomb, and that carried with it for a long time, and
probably the whole explosion of white Zin and all of that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
In the gas stations.
Yeah.
So, but well, tell us. So we've got Ravenswood.
So Ravenswood,
tell us about the second coming of Ravenswood here.
Yeah, I think it's actually more like the third, fourth, or fifth or something at this point. But yeah, so Gallo bought it back. Constellation owned it for a minute. Like all California wines, they have their seasons, and I know Gallo is really excited to sort of bring it back to the original days of like Joel Peterson owning it. It was a little more site specific. The wines really had this cult following. Like, there's people still out there that have tattoos.
That was the Ravenswood tattoo. It's like the most tattooed wine brand ever.
Yes, which is crazy. And so it had this sort of cult following. And in my time at Press, one of the coolest things we ever did was buy some of the wines from Joel Peterson's cellar. So he would sell us cases of old Zinfandel from the late 80s and 90s that he had. And those really changed my mind about Zinfandel, like as a grape, and its ageability. And I was really excited to hear that Ravenswood was kind of having this resurgence because I loved them so much and they had such meaning to me when I was at Press. But this is coming from the Monte Rosa vineyard, which I'm sure least you're familiar with. But for anybody listening, Monte Rosso is like one of these icon, like, well, you have to call it like a Grand Cru vineyard of California at this point. And so that's where this is coming from. And it's, I don't know if you've tasted it, but this is like, it tastes like Monte Rosso.
Yeah.
Like it's like, it has this fire inside of it. This just like this power and intensity. You know, it's a little Sequel Berkeley, if I may.
Love it. It's got this really interesting, like, almost like dried bay leaf, or like a bay leaf, not bay leaf, but like it's very
it's herby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
which you don't normally get with Zinfandel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's nice, and that to me says like more classic, obviously, than the fruit off the nose. But the fruit's beautifully in there and present. But yeah, that's a great.
Yeah, she's a baby. She was just bottled. This is 2023. Cool. It's not released yet. We were just playing around with it today. And I'm really excited about it. You know, I think it's one of the things that I talked about in some of those Eagles videos, and the one that I did with the Turley is like just how good old Zinfandel is, or just Zinfandel in general is with like football foods. So like hoagies, tea steaks, charcuterie, if you will. It's like a great party wine, and it's just like so easy. Barbecue, it's great with that. I had it with a sandwich today. It's a very pleasant, pleasing wine, and I think maybe that's why it's gotten this reputation as not being quite as serious, because it doesn't have to be taken seriously to be enjoyed.
That's true, yeah. But, I mean, talk about, like, the history of the heritage grape. I mean, that's, like, the California original heritage grape.
Yeah.
And that's why I love, like, guys like Tegan Passalacqua, who just, like, dives into it and is really championing, like, all these historic vineyards. And Historic Vineyard Society, which I think Joel and Bob Bialy and Mike Officer, all those guys are involved in, which is, like, help keep some of this in the ground, because it goes away and you don't make old vineyards anymore.
Yeah.
So, and they're special.
Yeah. Some of those old vines, that Dogtown vineyard is super cool. And they started working with that in 97. That was the very first year that Turley started working with it. But those were, I think, like 40 or 50-year-old vines that were they were working with. Yeah.
I'm big fan of Turleys.
I'm having a moment with Zinfandel. I want to talk about yours though.
Let's do it. Yeah. Well, what do you drop some Psalm stuff on us? What do you think?
I'm not dropping anything on you.
I feel like you need to give a little background.
Okay.
Let's talk about your vines.
So this is
also Polino.
Plenio, but
Plenio.
close enough.
I'm playing bocce over here.
She was testing you. That was a guess.
Good job, Bill.
I'm just ready for bocce season.
Yeah, so this is in the middle of our vineyard in Rutherford, which is kind of on the west side on the Rutherford bench. You've got right in the middle this tiny postage stamp. It's about 1.5 acres of the original vineyard, which was planted in 1910 by my great-grandpa Plenio.
Thanks for clarifying.
You just insulted his great-grandpa. Congratulations.
One more time. That's only what the name of the wine is. But so he planted that in 1910. It had been wiped out before from phylloxera. And the cool part about that block is it was taken from cuttings from Inglenook. And those were the original Gustav Niebaum clones that they brought. Yeah. So we kind of
cool.
replanted it, and it's still there in existence today. And it was the incubator for getting those varieties back to Inglenook. So they have now their original varieties back.
Yeah.
So, and there's, all kinds of fun stuff. So Alicante Boucher, Syrah, Negrette, Valdez, Mourvedre, Black Muscat, Grand Noir de Calumet. Like crazy things.
What?
Yeah.
That's super salmy.
And these, sorry to get super nerdy, but these Tenturia grapes, the ones that have this red flesh, give it that cool like color, and then the Black Muscat gives it this nice floral nose. So anyway, it's kind of a neat combination and not overly Zin. It's probably 20%, 30% actual Zin vines. So these are so different too. Yeah.
This is softer, lovelier. It does feel like Rutherford.
Mm-hmm. And they're chalky, a little Rutherford dusty.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I'm really excited about
puffable.
it. Thank you. It's going to be really fun and at a much better price point than the cab. So we'll be able to hopefully get out to buy the glass and be in restaurants.
Yeah, that's my hope, as wine continues to have whatever struggle it's going through. It's like, what can we do to fix this? I think maybe Zinfandel's the answer.
It might be. I love this. Hashtag that, Hillary. Zinfandel's the answer.
Okay.
So,
well, we just found our title.
The name.
I won't have to text you and say, Chris, come up with a title, please.
Oh, I think you have to fax Chris. He doesn't have texting capabilities.
He doesn't. It's a good 5 business day return
nice.
on
if
him.
You're lucky.
If I'm
really
lucky.
bad.
If not, then a 2 phone call, and then I'll get a text back.
Sorry.
I was impressed with you, though. You've been on your A game.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, or it could be Zinfandel is the answer. A big brown dog named Trouble.
Exactly. Well, I have a log. A Spring Street resident said he just had someone at the front door, quote, selling their religion, end quote. They were middle-aged women wearing, quote, conservative dresses, end quote. He asked if they had a permit, and they said they didn't. Do you need a permit to sell
I don't believe so.
religion? I mean,
Can you sell religion? Is it for sale?
You ask some organized religions. You could argue yes, but yeah, I don't think they're asking for money.
Not yet.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yes. Yes. Whoops. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, we're gonna find one hill. This is good. This is on the Thursday. I think Thursday is January the 20th, 5:30 p.m. Dispatch heard an audible crash outside. A full-size pickup had struck the city's electronic message sign on Main Street, and the driver was refusing to get out. Police arrested the 52-year-old St. Helena man on suspicion of DUI.
Do you think he just didn't like what the sign was saying? It was just really...
That was allowed. I mean, dispatch is not that. That's pretty far away from Main Street here. Anyway.
What time was it?
5:30.
In the morning or at night?
Evening.
Oh,
yeah.
I was gonna say midnight. There's
He hit that thing
not
good.
a lot of noise going on.
He hit it good.
Well, I had 2 teenage boys that were seen breaking ceramic pumpkins on St. James Drive. When the owner saw them, they ran toward Mitchell.
Nice.
Everybody knows you run towards Mitchell.
Yeah, safe haven.
They can't find you on Mitchell. Speaking of noise, on Monday, January 24th, there were multiple reports of leaf blowers.
Ooh.
There was a report of a leaf blower being used on Hunt Avenue. How
my
dare they? And at 16:02, a person asked to talk to a sergeant about leaf blowers, so they escalated if it was the same person, in fact. As someone who has lived in St. Helena, I can tell you, and has had to record many a video, I can tell you the annoyance that does come with the usage of a leaf blower.
At the improper time.
I have never called the cops about it. I want that to be clear. But I have yelled at clouds about it many times.
That's acceptable. So it won't be a McCrossin complaint.
There will not be a McCrossin complaint. Not on my watch.
In I guess I wasn't living on Mitchell anymore in January. But at one point, I was living on Mitchell, and there was a report of a barking dog all day and all night.
Oh my gosh.
And I definitely would videotape my dog when I heard another dog barking to prove, just in case it ended up on Nextdoor, that we cannot blame poor innocent Wally.
Nextdoor is...
Did you subscribe to Nextdoor?
Hell yeah, I did.
Oh, it is the best.
It was better than Real Housewives.
It is, absolutely.
I have so many Nextdoor screenshots. I think I had a whole album at one point.
It's fantastic.
It was a lot of the same people going after each other. But yeah, I learned a lot about my neighbors on Nextdoor.
A lot of echo chamber. Yep.
A lot of echo
Oh
chamber.
my gosh.
Yeah, I did not. I'm living outside of Philly now. I did not subscribe to the Nextdoor in my neighborhood.
And that might...
It's good.
Well, okay, so on my street alone, there's a lot of political flags that don't agree with each other,
Oh yeah.
which should make for great fodder, but I just don't have the time.
That's a lot of
You'll go crazy.
brain power.
Yeah. So how much time do you spend out between Philly and Napa then?
Who's asking, the IRS or...
49%.
No, I mean, I definitely live outside of Philly, but I think I'm spending, like, all told, maybe like a 2-month period in California.
Cool.
Nice. Between northern and other parts, but who wants to go to the south anyway?
Yeah. And you're speaking all over the world.
Yeah.
Where are your favorite spots to go to?
The warm ones, obviously. Yeah, I got to speak at the Bahamas last year. That was pretty awesome. I've spoken in Verona, which was interesting because the crowd was mostly Italian. So you looked out and it was all these people wearing translators. And so they, like, if I told a joke, it was like not in real time. Yeah, I travel a lot, which I feel very fortunate to do. I meant to say thank you for calling me a Renaissance woman because that was my goal in life when I was a kid. Like, I just wanted to be cool and travel the world and drink great wine. And
you figured it out.
I think I've gotten there. My younger self might be excited, but yeah, mostly, I love traveling internationally, but I have a fondness for the U.S. and I love that I get to go to all different places in the U.S. and drink in different cities like Chicago, Miami, and New York, and DC.
So what's an average speaking engagement for you? Will a company hire you to do a training or?
Oh God, no!
What? Wine motivational speaking? Like what are we talking
She's
about?
like on the corporate conference circuit, just to really motivate them through Q4.
You can do it. Drink more Riesling. No, mostly, it's like food and wine festivals. So like Aspen Food and Wine is a big one, which is another great place to go. Charleston.
Cool.
Charleston. Yeah. Food and Wine Classic went to Charleston for the first time this past year.
Favorite restaurant in Charleston?
Well, I've got to give a shout out to Coterie because my future brother-in-law owns it.
Okay.
And it's wonderful.
Nice.
And I would shout it out even if you didn't. My favorite restaurant in Charleston, though, I have a soft spot for the coconut cake, the Peninsula Grill. It's not a restaurant.
Okay.
I am blanking on all the names of the restaurants that I went to, which is a crying shame. Oh, Leon's is probably...
Okay, Leon's is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, what about you?
Oh, it depends what I'm craving. Pecan pie at Magnolia's, for sure. I love the bar at Husk. Way over the restaurant at Husk.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no offense to the restaurant. I just like...
But also a restaurant that's had its seasons,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Of course, I'm totally blanking. Barbecue place, not Rodney Scott's, Lewis Barbecue.
Oh, I made that one.
Oh, to die. And then hometown or home team, get the nachos and then the slushy alcoholic beverage, and you'll be happy for hours.
I do love a good slush. Mm-hmm. I actually did go to one really cool. It wasn't properly in Charleston. It was on John's Island.
Okay.
Called Lost Isle. And I went there because it had made the New York Times 50 Best Restaurants list, right before the Charleston Food and Wine was happening. And I was like, we should try to go. And it seems like it's in the middle of nowhere. There's literally a dive bar next door. It's open air. The kitchen's, everything's outside. The whole thing's outside. There's a guy when you walk to the podium, he's literally in this muscle tee. You put your name down. It was the coolest spot, and the food was so delicious. Literally everything is cooked over fire. Oh. They did one of the best cauliflower steaks. I don't even like cauliflower that much. It was insanely good.
Oh,
yeah.
Our Kitchen. Wow. Have you done Our Kitchen?
No.
Our Kitchen is also fantastic. Okay. There's 2 locations, one in West Ashley, one kind of by MUSC, that area downtown.
Okay.
College of
you
Charleston.
Really know Charleston.
Cool. I went to grad school there.
Oh.
But they are kind of... they only serve base fresh. It's a tasting menu, 5 courses. I think it's $60 a person.
Oh, that's very reasonable.
All fresh. But they say we're a kitchen, not a restaurant. So you sit there and you converse with the chefs the whole time.
Oh, that's
fun. You can get a bottle of wine for another $30, and it is amazing.
Cool. I'll check it out.
Very nice.
Anyway.
Well, next time I go to Charleston, I'll know what to do.
Yeah.
So, right on. We do have some more wine I just opened.
Oh, yeah?
Ooh, you opened it.
Yeah.
Okay. Very gracefully.
This is will be really fun. So
yeah, we'll go in maybe the baby glass.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
So,
I like older wine in smaller glasses.
Good.
That works.
Perfect.
She looks good.
Yeah.
She's great.
I'm really excited to see how this works. Let's go.
Because it might be broken.
So okay, so why are we drinking this? There is some.
So here's the story. So you and I are doing the premiere thing.
Really quick.
Go ahead, Hillary.
We all know what Premiere is sitting at this table.
Oh yeah,
but a few people,
sure.
That don't live here. What is Premiere?
So Premiere Napa Valley is the Napa Valley Vintners fundraiser to self-sustain all of their efforts, right? And what it includes is a lot of the distribution folks. They all come out and they bid on these different lots. There's 5, 10, 20 case lots. There's 200, right? It's a lot.
Yeah.
A bunch of lots. And then they bid on this. And then it's a very special wine that's can only be used in distribution. Anyway, that's my base knowledge of it. But Amanda might have some more to add.
Well, it's cool because it's you guys are crafting wines that you wouldn't normally make, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's producers that work with a varietal that they don't normally get to work with, or they collaborate with another winemaker like you're doing with Whitehall Lane. So it's these very interesting things that you're not going to see anywhere else, and they're only available to whomever, and there's only one buyer, to whomever purchases that lot and then eventually sells it either in a restaurant or in a retail store. So it becomes a very one of one sort of thing and they're hand numbered bottles, and it's a fun auction too.
Very fun.
Yeah.
So this will be my first year doing it. But why we opened up the Whitehall tonight, I only have probably about 3 or 4 of these. But this was the first vineyard designate that was made from our vineyard by Whitehall Lane, if anybody. And that was in the 90s. I mean, there wasn't a lot of people making single vineyard designates. Maybe Martha's Vineyard, Three Palms, Behringer, I don't know, G3, George III. Diamond Creek, yep. So it was just not as common as you see today. And then after that, we had a few more wineries make a designation for the vineyard on their label. And now, we hadn't worked with Whitehall for probably 25 years, but we decided to come back and kind of do a collaboration. And we did 50% from Morrisoli Vineyard, 50% from Whitehall Lane's Millennium. So Joel Aiken and Jason, the winemaker at Whitehall, blended these together, and this is our auction lot, number 52.
Love it.
That's so cool.
How do we think that process went?
I had the same question.
They're both lovely people, so I'm sure in that case. But I'm thinking of like some very creative winemakers that we probably all know at this table. Thinking of them trying to collaborate with someone else, that could end up in the log.
Well, I'll tell you, they're both super cool guys. So it wasn't
for
hard.
them, I feel like it was great. But
I bet you put some people together, it'd be different. But no, it was great. We got together and we poured, like, we did 20 and 80% and 40 and 60% of the two vineyards, and we just settled on 50-50. It was like, this is about right. So
you know what the vendors should do? They should do a reality docuseries leading up to premiere.
Yes.
Documenting all the collaborations.
That'd be good.
I want to see
That'd
it.
be good.
Bravo will definitely sign on.
Totally. If they don't, I will produce it myself.
I'll quit my job and join you.
Yes, let's do it.
I love it. Well, let's try it. Let's see if 20, 35 years.
Have you had this wine in a minute?
Not for a while.
Yeah. She's got that funk on her. I like it. Still has like a ton of fruit, but has that really nice black tea. I always love wines at this age. They're so silky.
Yeah.
It's just like texturally.
Super rounded and just kind of keeps going. And,
it almost has this like Zinfandel appeal to it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Nice. Lots of dried.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you taste the vineyard in there?
I don't know. I mean, sure. Yes, of course.
Picture yourself 35 years ago running through the vineyard.
Yeah.
Definitely was.
Taking grapes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Does it taste like your childhood memories?
Taste the rain.
Yes, of course. This is like Skittles.
I told you this would be a 90s episode.
My dad would say it tastes like wine. So, no, it tastes great. Yeah, I mean, I think I get more memories out of the Zinfandel just because, I don't know, maybe it's just me thinking about it more. But, this was great. It's super fun. So,
thanks for sharing.
Yeah. No, this is the right crew to share with.
I feel very honored.
We'll hang any of the leftovers. We'll either crush later or take to a tasting tomorrow.
Yeah,
no one will be angry at a little
I think so.
cab with age on it. This is a great week for everybody. And it's also, I think, if you didn't talk about it, is how many people come to town for this.
Oh my God.
Not just for the auction. So it's kind of the release of the most current vintage, which for some people will be 23, I think. And for others, it might be a slightly different one. But it brings everybody to town, and it's kind of the first time that the wineries get to unveil their current release to the people who are going to be buying it first, which is usually distributors and retailers, which is kind of
super
cool.
exciting.
So.
And anything we could do to keep that excitement up. And so this year, Katie Leonardini and the Whitehall Lane family is the chair of Premier Napa Valley. But next year, they picked our very own Josh to do it.
There we go.
Josh Phillips.
911 alumni.
Yeah, exactly. So Josh Phelps is going to be the chair next year with Grounded Wines, and we're really excited about that. But I think it's a good move, and they've got lots of young, be a good young crowd. And,
oh my God, thank you for being young. That's so nice.
are you kidding me? Yes. But so here's a question, right? Wine market is,
I was just going to bring that up.
Soft.
something that Amanda said, which was it's had its seasons. So like it's in season, right? So like, what are your thoughts on the wine market, which is less than ideal, but we're making it through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think we've never had so many options in life in general, right? Not just with wine, but with everything. And I think with that comes some weaning that happens in purchasing because we have so many options to choose from. I mean, if you go to the grocery store right now or you go to any wine shop, Like, there's so much to choose from. And I think in that, we maybe have a little bit of a problem. Like, we've got to try to figure out how to scale that back and give people more options. I think price is potentially an issue as well. Like, and I actually don't mean that in we don't have enough cheap wine. I actually think we don't have enough wines in that like $20 to $50 category that resonate. I find that when I talk about wine on my Instagram, the ones that resonate the most are in that $30 to $40 category. And people are happy to spend it if they understand why they're spending the money on it.
Yes.
So I think there's, there's a confluence of things happening ranging from choice to information. It seems like people are still very much wanting to spend, but they're not wanting to spend the super, super top dollars. So like the ultra premium $500 plus Cabernets from Napa Valley are definitely struggling out there in the restaurant world. But I don't know. I from where I stand, as you pointed out, 500,000 people follow me across platform, and I am very much a wine influencer. So like, people are still drinking. We just have to figure out how to get the right things in their hands.
And part of that is with Wine Access, right? Because that's a big part of what you also do, which helps get good wine into people's hands.
Yeah, I host their podcast. I'm not an official employee of Wine Access, but they contact me to do this podcast. Then I also talk about some of the wines that they put out, like their NDA wines, which are really cool, and they're these wines that basically, they're the private label wines, but they're a lot of times it's like the lots that maybe didn't get blended in, or it's, somebody's got a cash flow issue or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I think just accessibility. And listen, the wine industry has everything going against it, right? It's hard to market. It's hard to sell. We've got the 3-tier system. We've got age restrictions. Like, we've got all of these things that make it so difficult. So I think, the more that we can do to make it accessible, the better off we'll be. But, I'll just keep talking about it on Instagram too.
Yes, well said.
And I won't shut up.
That's what we need. We need the young folks out there that you're bringing in. Like, we need the
we'll take anyone, any age, we'll take.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, us millennials can't buy a house, but we can buy wine.
That's right. I think we've all just we're living in that right now.
We've just kind of accepted that.
What's going to bring you more happiness?
My jacket.
House problems or?
My jacket from Costco.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy a house anytime soon. It's not happening. But
no.
I can buy a
But I can buy a flight and a glass of wine.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it will be an economy, and I will be sitting next to someone that definitely had bologna sandwich for lunch, but it's fine.
Yeah, but I'll be thriving in 2016.
I will be thriving.
Oh my gosh. Insane.
Do we have more that we can go through?
Who's got one?
A black lab was loose near El Bonita. It ran back home, and police contacted its owner.
No. But no details on this black lab.
This is like
Not a
Homeward
big or
Bound, like
a
the
happy,
dog found its way.
A sad dog. I mean, they always have the
No, it was
great descriptors on there. It's what about the old ones? Come on, Hilda, you have to get an old one.
I'm looking. Public Works asked police to keep the peace. Well, they informed a contractor on Scott Street that his request for encroachment permit had been denied.
Oh, okay. Well, that's important.
Yeah.
It's a little civil standby.
Yeah.
Cool.
Who knew Public Works was out there? I mean, they do a lot.
I don't even know if I should read this. This is sad.
Do you want me to go?
Here we go. We're just going to get into it. Saturday, January 11th, 3 o'clock. A box containing 6 puppies was left on Spring Street. Police took them to We Care Animal Rescue. Lab mixes, 8 years old. 4 females, 2 males. Come on.
I like to think this is actually a happy story, that now they found their forever home.
Well, and then the next day, a caller inquired, this is Monday the 13th, 5 p.m., a caller inquired that puppies had supposedly been in the middle of Vallejo Street earlier in the day, but they now have homes. So that's good.
I adopted them all.
Perfect.
I have one
Sure.
from, what is this? Sunday, January 19th, or maybe it's the day before. I'm positive. It's not relevant. About $2,000 worth of new towels and linens, paper towels, and toilet paper were reported stolen from a housekeeping closet on a Main Street properity.
That's a lot of toilet paper.
Who has that much in their closet? I have questions.
They went to Costco.
No, they need to go to Costco.
But also, is this premium toilet paper? Like, even at Costco, the Charmin is not that expensive.
$2,000.
It's under $30 for the giant pack.
It's a mistake. Case of mistaken identity. It's got to be.
Yeah, that just feels like insurance fraud right there.
Something is wrong.
Yeah, State Farm is like, we're going to need receipts.
Like, what else is in there?
Yeah.
Are they stocking up for the next pandemic?
No, I mean, towels and linens, maybe, but even still, like how much Brooklyn can one purchase? That's so much.
That's a good question.
It's Egyptian cotton, not Egyptian gold.
Yeah,
Jeez.
like we got these in Portugal.
This is kind of an off-topic question, but
You're the king of that. Queen
I
of
know,
that. Yep.
I know. Since the pandemic, like speaking of this toilet paper thing, is there anything you guys now like stock up on or like hold on to that you didn't
Wine
pre-pandemic?
glasses.
That's Chris almost shattered his.
Ooh, stock up on. This might be more of like a function of age, but a lot more protein powder for sure, like Vital Proteins, and
Smart.
I can't be without it. I have, it's a problem.
You have needs.
I have needs.
It's
Yeah.
healthy. It's good.
Yeah.
We should all eat more protein.
Yeah.
I'm just like a bird. I eat like, I don't know,
You eat cook.
seeds and cook and lots of carbs. So
I mean, to
Yeah.
clarify, cook the restaurant.
If I
You
could
eat a lot of-
if I could eat just carbs and look like you, done.
I'll
But
tell you.
the answer is no.
Amazing.
No, it's Vital Proteins and anything and everything I can throw in there.
So Amanda, what are you excited about going into the next year? What's new and exciting for you?
Ooh. Well, I'm in theory getting married.
Good. Awesome.
I say I have a guy.
In theory.
Yeah, that part's settled. There is a guy. There is a dress.
Perfect.
That's the
When
most-
is this
do you have
happening?
the shoes?
I have a pair of shoes. I don't know if it's the shoes.
Okay, because those are the most important things. And once you have the guy in the shoes,
Yeah.
then you're fine.
Yeah, true.
You guys are both shoe fans, so
Yes.
you know this.
Yeah. Well, you'll appreciate this because I feel like you love a good deal. Costco, fellow Costco
Yes,
lover.
yes.
There's this store called Eclectic.
Okay.
Have you heard of this? So I think they only have 3 of them. The original one is outside of Philadelphia, and it's the Urban Outfitters Anthropologie Beholden outlet basically.
Oh my goodness.
But Beholden, which is the Anthropology wedding thing, they did a pop-up sample sale there.
Ooh.
And I happened to go the week after everything had been picked through, and they had these pair of beautiful satin Badgley white
We need
shoes
them.
in my size for $50.
It was meant to
And I
be.
was they're coming home, obviously.
Yes.
So I have them.
I mean, you could wear them with jeans to the grocery store if needed.
True. Thank you. Yes. But yes, that's the exciting. We're still trying to figure out where this is going to be. It'll be small.
So yeah, okay. Are you thinking East Coast, West Coast?
No,
TBD?
definitely California.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we may have found a place. We're not sure, but stay tuned. It'll
All
be
right.
very small. There will be champagne, potentially sake as well, because I
Yes.
now have an obsession.
I love it. Well,
You've tried it, or you had? We'll open it. We should.
I
If you
mean,
want to try it.
don't open it on my accord. It's whatever
No,
it wants.
but
Why is it up to me?
Hillary's not tried it. We should open
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you sure?
Yeah,
All right,
of course.
Yeah, take me back to
Cool.
Japan.
Let me.
Yeah.
I feel like I should get more glasses for this.
Yeah, no cork on this guy. And
Yeah.
actually, I had asked him about that. He's not a fan of cork for sake.
Really?
Yeah, because it doesn't really oxidize.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's a glass, but I
There
don't
it
know if
is.
you've felt the weight of this.
Incredible.
It's
Oh, wow.
it's quite weighty.
Wow.
Yeah. Is there an official name for a glass enclosure? Do you know this?
Nope.
Sorry, I don't
Glass
know.
topper.
Glass top. Yeah.
I'm just gonna pause this.
Yeah.
All right. So
All right. Well, I'll start with
let's
this.
hear about sake.
How much sake have you had? Is this a beverage that you're into?
I did sake tasting in Japan.
Oh,
Can I
shit.
tell you what I had? No.
Okay.
It was 1,000 degrees that day, and we walked 3 miles to get there. Nick was really pleased with that.
I'm sure.
So, I was a little delirious by the time we got there, but it was incredible.
Okay.
It kind of reminded me of, I don't even know the proper name for this, but when you, with the Corbins, and you can go to the different stations
Yeah.
and try all the different types.
Yeah.
It was a distillery that did all of that. It
That's
was
cool.
incredible.
That's
so
really
we
cool.
did sparkling, the still, the whole shebang.
Oh, nice. And what about
Yeah.
you, Chris?
I was in Japan for 3 days doing army stuff, so I'm pretty sure I drank my fair share of sake. But, that was about the extent of my sake experience.
How about a
Yeah.
21-year-old sake bomb,
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Duck Butt in Honolulu had soju. That's not sake, but that was about it. So,
There's definitely
yeah.
some now at home that we brought home from Japan that I still
Yeah,
need
that's
to
very
open.
fun.
So
Yeah.
Well, this is beautiful. I mean, it's round and weighty.
Yeah, it's very viscous. I mean, for something it's bright, but it's very viscous. There's a lot of texture. Yeah, I tried this I thought it was just going to be a video that no one would watch. And I did. It was like, the former chef de cave from Dom Perignon makes sake. This is crazy. And so I opened it and I did everything on camera, and I smelled it and I tasted it on camera, and I was like, oh, like this is like really good.
Surprised yourself.
Because it's expensive, right? I think this bottle's like $180 for sake. Yeah, it's expensive. So,
geez, thank you for sharing that with
anything for Hillary.
Oh, wow.
You're just an innocent standby.
It's my favorite way
so
to do it.
I kind of did it for the gram, not really expecting to love it quite as much as I did, and I really truly fell in love with it. And previous to that, I had done this partnership with the Japanese food organization about sake and its pairability with things outside of just Japanese food, which, obviously everyone thinks of sake when they have sushi and Japanese cuisine, but very rarely are we trying to pair it with like French food or like charcuterie. And it's actually incredibly pairable with so many different cuisines because it has this like textural thing, and there is some residual sugar, so there's like a sweet, there's a brightness, there's acidity, so there's all of these things. And because it doesn't really it has like the tiniest amount of where did you say the tannin was coming from? I forget, but like the tiniest amount of tannin, it's just so pairable. And when I tried this, I was like, this is going to be incredible with food. And I ended up going to this dinner the other night in New York, and we had all 5 of the assemblages that he has made so far since 2020 at varying temperatures in various different glasswares, and they all paired so perfectly with every single dish. So my mind was kind of blown because the way that he described it, and I keep saying Richard Geoffroy, he described it as sake as like being more of this lateral component to like wine and food pairing, whereas like when you have wine and food, it's kind of one or the other, and they like, there's something inevitably outshines. But with sake, it's like it can kind of create this loop where it blends a little bit more seamlessly. So I thought that was really interesting. And not that I don't love wine, I love wine, but sake was just not something I was interested in until I started trying this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. And is there an age component in a wood, or is it all steel?
No, there's no aging component. I know he said there was tannin coming from somewhere. Maybe it was like, I don't know. But
whatever it is, it's imparting that.
There's some sort of like phenolic-y thing happening there that makes this super interesting. So yeah, I think I hope to get to Japan this year. I've never been.
I'll give you all my recs.
Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm hoping
a good honeymoon. Maybe like
Asia is fingers crossed. Hopefully where we're going to be for honeymoon, but
just do Japan, Thailand, maybe a little Vietnam.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's my favorite cuisine. Like, and obviously now I love sake. So,
I mean, they even have like French Laundry when you do their whole wine pairing. Like one of the courses is sake.
Yeah, they do. It's called Divine Droplets. They do it with the oysters and pearls. Yeah, because what wine would you put with that? I mean, it's so delicate. There's so many components that need that like sort of lateral positioning of a beverage next to it. God, that sounds
that's really cool. No, I was it's douchey, but it's cool. No, I was like that the lateral versus the centrifugal.
Yeah,
what do we call it? The circular.
Circular.
Lots of shapes.
Very cool.
New Year's shapes. So yeah, I did ask him because as I'm swirling glass, I was like, should you swirl sake?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's just kind of like it is as it is, and it does not need more oxygen. And
that's the best Japanese theory. It's just it is what it is. Like, leave it be.
Yeah,
that's
enjoy
such
it.
a habit though.
Enjoy it for what it is.
To sit there anytime I get a glass and sit there and like swirl.
Because it isn't a wine glass, so it feels like you should
swirl
aerate it. I asked him what his favorite wine glass for it was. He said he likes a Zalto. He likes a flat bottom, which I thought was interesting.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, in St. Helena or Napa Valley, you have one meal that you can have. So, one restaurant, one dish, one wine. What are you doing?
It's a tough question.
Oh, that is such a tough
That's
question.
so hard.
You have one night free to go get whatever meal you've been missing.
Honestly, it's at the bar at Charlie's.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And it's their late night menu. So it's like dirty steak. It's probably not wine. It's probably like their Spring Mountain Martini that I love so much. And and that caviar on the potato.
Like the French onion dip?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, so like that would be, it's so good.
brilliant.
I actually like, I got here, I arrived on a Tuesday when they're closed, and it's Wednesday and they're still closed, so I'm looking forward to it tomorrow
Yeah.
when they reopen.
It's good.
So,
I am such a huge fan of Elliot and team over there.
Yeah.
They're just doing a great job, and it's nice to see like the local guy, just like Jude at Cook, crushing
Yeah.
it, and it's really cool. So
well, you know what's great? When I went to this dinner, I was talking to Richard, and obviously, you know, working at Dom Perignon for 30 years, like he's eaten at the best restaurants.
Yeah.
And we were at a 3 Michelin that night. And he was like, oh, I was just in Napa Valley, and he had been at French Laundry, and he said, you know, I went to the best restaurant. It's kind of new. It's in St. Helena. And he was like, what is it called? He goes, Charlie's. And I was like, no way! He was like, I loved it. I thought it was so great. And I was like, that just like, it makes my night, because I see Elliot back there every single night, crushing it, smile on his face, and I just, you know, that's a place where I feel like you can really feel the passion and the love for food.
And it's delicious.
In his food, like, you know, there's a lot of really great chefs out there, and are they technically wonderful? Yes, absolutely. And like, don't get me wrong, secondary and just adjacent to Charlie's would be sitting at the bar at Charter Oak and having like the vegetables and dip and having a burger. Like, that's a tough call right now. But what I love so much about Charlie's right now is just like, it's the vibe, it's the atmosphere, it's like Elliot's there, like it feels very kind of like the old days at Press a little bit, honestly.
Yeah. You
That's
always
one thing I
run
see
into someone.
in common with successful businesses is that owner's like there.
Yeah.
And they're working it.
Yeah.
You know, that's great.
It's not easy to do.
Yeah. Cool, Amanda. This has been absolutely awesome. Like talking to you, and huge fan of everything you're doing and bringing young people into wine.
Yeah.
We're super stoked about More Soli. The whole
Dang
world's
it.
talking about you.
Oh my gosh.
Woo!
Yeah.
At least Hunt Avenue. So.
Yeah. And now Hillary and I are going to Costco to go shop together. So
Exactly.
Our new friend.
Tell us where to find you.
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Somme Vivant, and then my podcast is called Wine Access Unfiltered. We do a video component and an audio, so choose your own adventure there.
Awesome. Will listen to you a lot while I'm on the tractor.
Oh.
Up and down on the vineyard there. So keep it up.
All right. Hopefully I don't knock you off the tractor.
Thanks, Amanda.
Cool. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Yay.
You enjoy your evening and be safe.